To the Lord, I will sing to him a new song. I will celebrate, sing unto the Lord, I will sing to him a new.
Grace be to you and peace from God our Father and our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Pastor Ed Mahan, and welcome to Sure Word Ministries, the Pastor's Study. I thank you for welcoming us into your homes today, and our hope and our prayer is that you'll be richly blessed and edified by today's program. Now, I'd like to suggest that you have a pen and a paper handy, because during the course of this show, we'll be providing you with some information that you might very well find to be useful. Now, I have the privilege to have in the studio with me today a very special guest. With me, I have the Reverend Dr. Cyril Richard of the New World Creation Resource Ministry, located in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome to Sure Word Ministries, Dr. Richard.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's great to be here.
Yes. How have you been?
Great.
Now, Dr. Richard, why don't you begin by sharing with us a little bit about your experience in ministry and your approach to ministry?
Okay, great. Good question. Well, if I should go back more than 40 years, I was saved at the age of 17.
Okay.
Coming from the Hindu religion. My father was a Hindu priest, and I had many problems. I was sick with asthma, born with asthma, from birth till the age of 17, and they carried me to all the what you call the Sia people, better known as the Obia men in Trinidad, and different religious priests, Hindu priests, Muslim priests, and they couldn't do anything. But one night I was going to the cinema. I had $2 in my pocket, and I was hearing some sweet music, gospel music, and I followed that sound and reached in the crusade. I didn't know when or what was going on, and then the preacher said, all who need Jesus and want to be healed, walk up to the altar. I find myself there, and guess what? I got healed, I got saved, put $1 in the offering, and bought a Bible for $1.
Yes.
And I started to preach 6 months after.
Okay.
But I had a good pastor. And one thing I want to say, anytime that you want to be nurtured and develop the call of God in your life, you need a good pastor,
That's
a
very
good mentor.
important. Yes.
Because today we have a lot of people just running all over the place.
Yes.
And they're saying nothing, making too many noise.
Yes.
And the thing is, I studied under my pastor. He paid my way to Bible school, come out. But I had internship with him, knocking on doors and letting people know our testimony, not preaching the gospel. And that has helped me to develop my ministry.
Okay.
All through these years, I pastored 10 churches, pioneered 5, taught Bible school, and preached length and breadth in the Caribbean, cast out demons.
Yes.
My ministry was deliverance too.
Yes.
And we find a lot of people got saved. I had started many churches, helped develop many churches.
Okay.
And I love to do this because God called me to do this.
Yes.
In America, God brought me over 15 years ago.
Okay.
And what happened is, I find ministry over here is totally different from the culture we got in Trinidad.
That was the next question I was going to ask you, because even though I am of Caribbean descent, I was born and raised here in Brooklyn, New York.
Amen.
And the only thing that I know of, well, I'll have to say that the only thing that I really know firsthand is American culture by experience. So my next question to you is, and you begin to address that, is how is the church and ministry different here in the United States in comparison to that in the Caribbean, based on your experience?
Okay, good question. What happened is, it's easier to preach the gospel in Trinidad, in the Caribbean.
And why is that?
Why is that? The people are more receptive, and they have more respect for the gospel, and as we say, religion as a whole.
Okay.
They respect that very much. You could preach on the road, side of the road, under a deli, under a shop, in the park. They respect you. And it's different because of the culture and the respect they have for religion and ministers. Highly respected.
How much does culture really influence our Christianity?
Well, I noticed too, when the missionaries come to our country, they destroy our culture.
And where are they from mostly?
They are from America.
America, okay.
And what has happened is they come and tell us, don't wear this, don't put on this, don't look at the movie, don't games, whatever. And the problem is, when I come here, it's totally different.
Okay.
So what they do is, these guys came with paid salaries. And they come and spread the denominational system.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep us in bondage. You see, when you work for a denomination over there,
Mm-hmm.
you work for them, but they use you to work for them in the name of God.
Mm-hmm.
According to Bible principles, there's no denominations in the Bible.
I agree.
God
That's
always
right.
call a man or a woman.
That's right.
And then we have people voting in people in the
Yes.
denominations. And I have seen where they have treated a lot of our people with disrespect, who build these churches and start these churches. And no, there is no recourse. They kick them out, use their money, take their money, and they build their denominations. Over here, we find the culture is different. Now, the Bible remains the same.
Correct. Yes.
It's the same message.
Yes.
So don't change the message,
Correct.
change the method.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little bit
What
more?
happened is,
Yes.
now, they could have come and used our own culture,
Right.
right? Because we have, you know, more Indian culture, more African culture, more Spanish culture. Don't change the culture. You make it harder. You put up barriers. Because people say, well, how you want to get to us and you want to change us? No. You should use the same culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, for instance, like a pot. You might call it in Guyana a different, in Jamaica a different pot, but
Okay.
it's the same pot, but you call it by a
Yes.
different name.
Yes.
So what is happening is they have destroyed our culture, you see, and make it harder for the gospel. But the freedom is there to preach.
Okay.
The freedom is always there. People will come. But when you begin to change stuff, they leave. Over here, we see they have one type of method.
And what's that?
Well, I'm telling you.
Okay.
The method is, and I don't want to sound very
Feel free to speak.
bad,
Feel free to speak.
but today we have a lot of untrained ministers in America. And
Okay.
they do not have a system. A guy could get ordained on the internet. And he can
That is
go
true.
preaching and he doesn't know what he's preaching.
Yes.
And he would lead a lot of people into delusion
Yes.
because of not rightly dividing the word
Now-
and not being trained.
On that note, and we can get back to that in a second about the necessity of training.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, as you explained, that the culture differs from the islands to here in the United States. How about the theology? Do you notice a difference in the theology?
Yes. Well, it's so much difference over here. In my country, let me bring one situation. We know we can pick up one offering, right? But today in America, we have 10 different offerings.
Yeah.
And they call it raising building fund.
Right.
So I call it the having fun raising building fund. And you never see the building, neither you see
You're
the fund.
right. Yes.
I said
Yes.
you don't see the building,
Correct.
neither the fund. So what I've seen is in America, we have the emphasis on the external rather than the internal.
The internal.
It's like a guy, in America, I notice black preachers have so many names and titles,
Yes.
but they have no job.
You're right.
I asked people in North Carolina, I preached one time in 95. I said, all the ministers stand up, the whole church stand up.
Yes.
And all of them were smoking cigarettes after that. So I said, but this one said, I'm an evangelist, I'm a missionary. I said, okay, but
Yes.
let me tell you this. What mission you on? How many
Yes.
souls you win?
Yes.
How many people you visit?
Yes.
And they were surprised. I said, well, listen to me. How is it? The Assemblies of God taught me. And you have Assemblies of God here.
Yes.
What's going on?
So you're telling me that even within the same, if you want to call it, denomination,
Yes.
there is a difference between, let's say, and I'll use the Assemblies of God being that's the example, and you know that you gave. There's a difference between the Assemblies of God in the islands in comparison to here in the United States.
Exactly. And not only that, I see a lot of gimmicks in America
Okay.
to get money. And let me say this. If God's work is done God's way, there is no lack in God's